Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to record your shows and then post them to the WTFNationRadio.com website, as well as how to make them available to our podcast subscribers on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Play. So the first thing you're going to need to do is configure Winamp to record your shows. And in order to do that, you're going to need to be in the Output tab, which is probably where you are anyway. And then you're going to need to click on Encoder. And down here at the bottom, there is a section that says Save Encoded Output. You're going to want to click right here in this checkbox next to Save a Copy of the Encoded Stream Audio. What this is going to do is it's going to, every time you connect, it's going to automatically start recording. And then when you disconnect, it will stop recording. So what you need to do is you need to select a location and a file name, and you do that by clicking here, and it'll bring you up to a place, desktop's usually where I do mine, but you can save it wherever you'd like. And probably your best bet's going to be to call it live.mp3 and make sure that you're using the MP3 encoder, which you should be by default. And then you click on save. You will only have to do that one time, because every time you click connect, as long as this box is checked, it's going to record your show. So at the completion of your show, when you disconnect, the first thing you're going to want to do is close Winamp. And why should you close Winamp? Because if you don't, you won't be able to rename this live.mp3 to something else. You're going to want to rename this, because if you don't, the next time you connect, it will append to the end of this one, and this file will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So what you're going to want to do is rename it. A good naming convention would be the name of the show, or your name, your hosting name, followed by the date. And make sure that it doesn't have any spaces in it. Most of the podcast repositories don't like spaces, especially iTunes. So if you want readable file names, use underscores. And for the purposes of this video, we've made up a fictitious host, and his name is Barney, because I'm breaking this down for you Barney style. So you're going to want to rename. You just right click and go to rename, and I've got one here already. It's Barney underscore and then the date, which is 04 August 2017, which was yesterday's date. If you want to edit this file to eliminate silence at the beginning of your show or at the end of your show, or like I like to do with my podcast, and take out the music breaks, you're going to need to know how to use a sound editing program like Audacity. And I'll cover Audacity in a separate video. I'm not going to get into it in this video. So that takes care of the actual recording and naming of the file. The next time you connect to the server using Winamp and you hit connect, it will automatically start recording, and it's going to automatically name it live.mp3. You won't have to repeat this initial process of setting Winamp up to record. So now, to get your file over to our server, you're going to need an FTP client, File Transfer Protocol. I use FileZilla, and I would recommend that you do so also to help keep everybody on the same sheet of music. And it's the one I'm the most familiar with. If you don't have an FTP client and you want to use FileZilla, you're going to have to go to their website, which is filezilla-project.org, and then go to download FileZilla client. And then you would just want to download FileZilla. You don't need FileZilla Pro. And you click on download, and it's going to take you to another page, and it should automatically detect your operating system. In this case, 64-bit Windows. You'll click on download FileZilla, and you're going to save this file. And then once it downloads completely, run it and install FileZilla. If you need to do this, this would be a good place to pause the video while you go ahead and install it. Once you have it installed, you can go ahead and resume this video. But if you don't have FileZilla, go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, now that you have your FTP client installed, you're going to need to configure it to connect to the server so you can upload your shows. If you don't have an account on the server, you're going to need to contact me so I can set one up for you. It's going to require a username and password on the server. You're only going to have to configure this account one time. Your host name, your username, I mean, probably needs to be the name you use on the air because people are going to see it. So think about that when you contact me about setting up your account. Now, when you start FileZilla, you're going to need the information to connect to the server, which includes the host name, the username, the password, and so on and so forth. So the name of the host that you're going to be connecting to upload your podcast is just WTF Nation. Let me make sure I'm spelling this right. .com. The username, like I said, our fictitious host, our fictitious show host name is Barney, because we're breaking it down Barney style for you. And Barney's password is stupid short. You're going to want a good secure password. You don't want anybody getting in our server and screwing around. Now, the port, you can leave the port blank. We connect on the standard port for FTP. And then you'll just go over here and hit Quick Connect. Now, this top pane right here shows information about how the FTP client is connecting to and talking to the server. If there is an error, it will be listed up here in the top. But since we're logged in, and it says so right here, it retrieved the directory listing of your directory on the server, which will be displayed over here on the right-hand side, this pane on the right-hand side. Barney has never uploaded a show, so the directory listing is empty. Now, there's 3 ways that you can transfer your files from the local computer, and all that is displayed on the left side, your directory tree, over to the remote server, which is displayed over here on the right side. Method number 1 is to kind of minimize this window a little bit. You find the file that you want to transfer, and you drag it over here and drop it. That will initiate the upload. Method number 2, if you don't want to work in this reduced window size, if you want to keep everything full screen, is to navigate to where it's stored on your computer, which in my case is on the desktop. Right here is the file. You can drag and drop it over here as well. And the third way to do it is to right-click on it and then click on Upload. Now, once the upload begins, once you start transferring the file from your computer over to the remote computer, the progress will be shown down here in the bottom. In the Queued Files tab, it'll show what is currently uploading and what remains to be uploaded. And it'll show the elapsed time, the time left, the estimated time remaining, and then a percentage of the upload. If for any reason this fails, it will be listed in the Failed Transfers tab. If the file successfully transfers, it'll disappear from queued files, but it'll be listed over here in Successful Transfers. It will also show up over here in your directory on the remote server. So uploading the file, pretty straightforward. As long as there are no errors involved, you should be good. Now, once the file does successfully transfer, you can delete the file from your computer if you want to, because it now lives on the server. So you can delete it from here, right-click delete, or highlight it and click delete, or you could go to wherever you have it stored and delete it from there. Unless you plan on doing something else with the file, there's no need for you to keep it. And now that it's transferred over, you can close FileZilla. Now, the next time you run FileZilla to upload an episode, instead of manually entering the host, the username, the password, and so on and so forth, your previous session should be stored right here. If you click on this drop-down arrow next to Quick Connect, and you click on that previous session, it's going to connect to the server, and then you can forego typing all this stuff again, and then you just conduct the transfer however you need to. One thing I would like to point out is that once this entire process of uploading and posting an episode is complete, you don't want to, if you can help it, you don't want to delete anything on the remote server, because then it breaks the podcast feed on iTunes and on Stitcher and TuneIn and Google. So once it's uploaded, once you've completed the entire process, try to avoid deleting it if you can. Otherwise, you'll have to go and delete some other stuff as well. So the final step in this entire process is probably the most important one and one of the more complicated ones, but once you learn your way around, it should be pretty easy. What you're going to need to do, open your web browser, and go to WTFNationRadio.com/login. Now, you don't have a login, but we'll set one up for you whenever you contact me to set up your FTP account. And we'll probably use the same username and password here as we did in your FTP account. So Barney is going to need to access WTFNationRadio.com login. And no, I don't want to save this. Because now that we're logged in, it brings you to the dashboard. You can ignore everything on the left side with the exception of posts. In fact, please ignore everything on the left side with the exception of posts, because if you get in here and start messing around with other stuff, it could cause problems on our website. There's not much you can break that I can't fix, but I would rather not have to fix anything if at all possible. So you're going to create a post. You're going to hover over post here, move your mouse over post, and you have two options, all posts and add new. We're adding a new one. All right. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is put a title in. This is going to be the title of the post. It's also going to be the title of the podcast. And you're going to want to keep things short. Be sure to check your spelling, your grammar, your punctuation, and so on and so forth. Please, it's very important because this is what everybody, our end user, is going to see. So Barney and Friends, which is the name of Barney's show, which is a good place to start. And briefly, I guess the title of the episode would be, let's call this one Barney's First Show. This is Barney's first show, and he's going to upload it as a podcast. Use title case here. Except for words like and the and so on and so forth. Keep the first letter of each word uppercase. Title case. Looks good. Looks a little more professional. Okay, down here is your opportunity to put in more detailed information about the episode. So you could say something like, in this episode, Barney talks to special guest. Talks to special guest. Let's see. Sergeant Major of the Army, Dan Daly. I'm not really sure how Barney managed to land a host of that caliber, but that's what he did. You can put more in here if you want to. I'm just keeping this short for brevity's sake. Again, spelling, punctuation, capitalization, grammar, all very important. All right, so continuing down. This is where you're going to put the URL to the actual recording. Where can you find that? Well, we transferred it to your directory on the server. You're going to go need to find that. So if you'll go to WTFNationRadio.com/podcasts, it's going to open up a directory that shows all the subdirectories. And here's Barney's right here. So Barney is going to need to know what the path name is, what the URL is to that show. I'm using Firefox. This may be different in other browsers. I don't know, but I'm using Firefox. So I go over, here's the show, here's the episode. Right-click, and then go to copy link location. And it saves the entire path, which is what this is asking for. So you go here, media URL, and paste that in there. Now, verify URL. What this is going to do is it's going to check to make sure that's a good file. It will automatically specify the file size and the duration of the episode. In this case, Barney got nervous and only did 16 minutes and 25 seconds worth of radio. So his podcast is going to be short and sweet. Okay, continuing on down. Ignore sharing. Ignore this simple WordPress membership protection. We're going to go over here to set featured image. And this is the image that is displayed along with the description of the show and everything else on the WTFNationRadio.com website. Try to keep these good resolution, and for the sake of uniformity, let's try to keep them at the 16:9 aspect ratio. The graphics that ICE creates, the graphics that Slim creates, they're all the correct proportion. So if he's created a show graphic for you, what better graphic to use for this episode than that one? So if you have to upload the file, which you probably will unless you have generic files that you want to use that are already stored on the server, you're going to have to click Upload Files up here. There's two ways to do it, select files or drag and drop. You can actually, oh boy, Let's see. I got this window huge. All right, so we're going to use select files. I could move this out of the way and grab this and pull it over here, or select files works just as easily. Let's go over here. Oh, look, there's an image for the show that we did on August 4th, 2017. Let's open that. It's going to upload it. This is actually for the show that Minx did last night, but we're using it for this tutorial. Now, you'll see it's automatically selected. There's the attachment details. If you want to use that as your featured image, the one that you just uploaded and is now present in the media library, just click Set Featured Image. And, oh, look at that. Magically, there it is. That's the image that's going to be displayed next to your post on WTFNationRadio.com. Oh, wrong one. You don't want to use it. Click on Remove Featured Image. You decided you're going to change it, so Set Featured Image again. You're going to use a generic one. This is a case where maybe if there's no graphic or if there's no guest and you just want to use a generic image for your show, I'm going to use this one. This is my generic image right here. So it's uploaded, and we can continue on. Post expirator, skip it. Tags, skip it. Categories, this is a podcast, so scroll down and check on podcast. Oh, amazing. And the next thing you're going to want to do is, if you are done and if you are doing this upload the same day you did your show, you click publish. More often than not, though, after your show, you're tired, you want to go to bed, you'll do this tomorrow. So today is August 5th, but the show is done on August 4th. So what we're going to do is right here where it says publish immediately, I'm going to click on edit. And I'm going to backdate this thing to August 4th, 2017. The time doesn't really matter that much, and click OK. The reason this is important is it keeps continuity on WTFNationRadio.com on the front page. If you don't date this the same as the day of the show, the podcasts get out of order. And it also screws the order up on the podcast repositories, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google. So the last step after you go through here and double check and verify everything is to click publish. Now, I'm not going to do it in this tutorial because I don't want somebody tuning in on their podcast app on their phone or whatever and looking at this and hearing this fake podcast. But ordinarily, you'd click publish. It will publicize it on Twitter automatically. It will add it to WTFNationRadio.com. And hopefully, you didn't have any errors. But what if you do? What if you go over here to WTF, and it's not going to ask you this if you've saved it. What if you go over here to WTFNationRadio.com and you peruse through here and you have found, you click on this and you find a typo, or you click on this and it takes you to the full page view, and you get down here and you find somewhere in your description, you find a problem like this. Look at that. This was forever ago. I should have fixed this a long time ago. Well, we need to go in here and edit this, which I can't do using Barney's account. I would have to use my own. But so you're going to go back to the dashboard. Hopefully this thing lets me go back to the dashboard. It didn't log me out. Yeah. You're going to go back to post. You're going to go to all post. And it's probably going to show right here as a draft because I didn't save it. You would go to edit, and you would go in and fix your typo, and then you would save changes. I think it says save changes instead of publish once you've published it. You would go over here and save changes, and it will correct it. And if you do it before the podcast repositories pick it up, then it'll be correct when people start downloading the podcast. That's really all there is to it. This is the most complicated part of the whole process, and it's once you learn to start at the top, work your way down, and slide over and work your way back up, and you remember all the steps, you'll be fine. But you'll always have this video to come back to. And if anybody has any specific questions, you can get in contact with me and I'll help you out. And I hope this video helped you out, and there will be more to come. So thank you, everybody, for watching the video, and thank you for doing everything you can to make WTF Nation Radio the best.